For classic matches, just like the World Cup videos, why not go to patreon.com/drunkredhead. It's a go-home show for the older folk. It's time for another What Happened on My Universe mode. And we were in Birmingham, Alabama for another edition of Main Event. The show started with Dusty Rhodes, the King of the Ring, heading out to the ring to call out his recent feuding opponent, The Undertaker, as we saw Team WCW and WWE face off in recent weeks. I'm going to ignore what the actual things they said were in order to sort out a match for the next pay-per-view, which is coming up soon, November to Remember. The Undertaker came out and basically, let's pretend that they organised a 3-on-3 match to main event that show, and if Dusty Rhodes' WCW team wins, well, main event becomes Nitro. And once the talking stopped, The Undertaker hit a clothesline on Dusty Rhodes. Rhodes tried to escape and ran up the ramp, but when he got up there was an Undertaker waiting for him. Well, not waiting for him, he caught him. Hit him with a DDT on the ramp, and then some punches, followed by a big suplex. These two will be out again later, but first we've got some matches, and it was Sting and the Ultimate Warrior teaming up, the World Tag Team Champions, the Blade Runners, and they were facing off against their recent feuding people, Earthquake and Typhoon, the Natural Disasters, in just a general tag team match. However, before the match got started, Sting and the Ultimate Warrior had a little bit of dissension, as Sting wouldn't let the Ultimate Warrior start the match. Started it himself, and he started not too bad with an inverted atomic drop and then a big leg drop, but then it started going wrong when Earthquake got a reversal. Earthquake smashed Sting with a side breaker before taking out the Ultimate Warrior. He then tagged in Typhoon, who hit a massive slam, beat on Sting some more, and then he went to the Ultimate Warrior, and this became a bit of a pattern. They'd hit some moves, some big ones, and then they'd take out the Warrior before Sting could have a chance at tagging. Evidently, Sting not letting the Warrior in to start with may have backfired. The match finished off when Typhoon took out Sting once again with a massive big splash and got the pinfall victory. The Natural Disasters obviously have their tactics sorted out come the pay-per-view. Kevin Nash was out next, ready for a promo of his own. And what was he gonna say? Big Daddy Cool started by asking the crowd to hear him out. He said he did what he had to do in order to make it, including some things he's not proud of, but now he wants the crowd to see him eye to eye. He said he would be taking his own destiny into his own hands and no more asking for special favours, and then said that he may not be trusted by the crowd, but he wants to at least have them try. Nash then went off into the sunset, ready to take on Triple H at the next pay-per-view, and let us move on to our next match, which saw European Champion Booker T face off against recent feudee Mark Henry, the world's strongest man, and before the match they shook hands. A lot of sportsmanship between the two, but then it started and Mark Henry started beating on him. Booker would eventually gain control and get a few hits in of his own before chucking Mark Henry to the outside and throwing him into the side of the announce table. He'd hit a couple more moves, including a small knee drop, before Mark Henry would grab him and throw him in the ring himself. After a slam, he headbutted him junkyard dog style, and then punched him in the corner for a big splash in the corner. Eventually though, Booker T would reverse and kick him in the face. Booker dropped a big knee drop on Mark Henry and went for the bookend, however Mark Henry was ready for it, reversed, hit headbutt and a world's strongest slam for a massive 1-2-3 victory over the European Champion going into the pay-per-view. The second to last match of the show saw Chris Jericho face off against another member of the Hart Foundation. This time it was the British Bulldog after having a promo against him last week. Chris Jericho started off hot with a spinning heel kick and a back elbow before trying a punch and finding Bulldog ready for it. He hit him with a cross body drop and smacked him into the floor before jumping on him with a crucifix. Following a running elbow from the British Bulldog, he went for a slam, however Chris Jericho was ready and hit a back suplex instead, followed by a normal suplex and then the most impossible lion salt ever. That was enough from Jericho though, as the Bulldog gained control once again with an arm drag. He then hit a gorilla press slam and a running power slam, but Jericho wasn't down. He got back up, hit the Bulldog in the gut, and then I missed something evidently because the Bulldog was all dazed and shit. So Chris Jericho hit the code breaker and won the match, but when he was celebrating, he was joined by another member of the Hart Foundation. Yep, the one we haven't seen yet. Bret Hitman Hart, who clotheslined into the outside, then threw him back in and hit him with an elbow to the face and a massive pile driver, which busted him open. Hart celebrated after a nasty knee to the head, which leads us to main events. Main event, which saw Macho Man Randy Savage, accompanied by the rest of Team WCW, face off against Stone Cold Steve Austin, who was accompanied by The Undertaker, as we don't yet know who the third member of WWE is. Stone Cold hit a couple of moves to start with before having his momentum stopped by Macho Man and an inverted atomic drop. He then hit a backbreaker and an elbow drop before Stone Cold moved out of the way and got a punch himself. Austin's next move, however, was reversed and Macho was back in control with a side breaker and a big double axe handle. However, Stone Cold then gained control eventually with a Lou Thesz press. Stone Cold didn't have the control for long, as after a neck breaker he missed a stomp and Macho Man made him pay with a chop and an airplane spin. After dumping Stone Cold down, he hit a massive knee drop before going for a slam, and that's when Austin reversed, hitting a reverse DDT and a big signature elbow drop. He got Savage up, hit him with a Stone Cold Stunner and got him with the 1, 2, 3. He was down for the count to give Team WWE the advantage going into November to remember. And that's it for another What Happened on My Universe mode. Like and subscribe, NXT's next.